Welcome to Living from the Heart. I am your host, Tina Thrussell, also known as Woman Who Dances with Light. I am a spiritual healer, a mindfulness trainer, a NIA teacher. I am the co founder of Best You Can Be. I am the host and creator of several women's nurture circles, retreats. I am a lot of things. But the most important thing I am is a messenger of the Shin Dao, the way of the heart, the way of living with love, kindness, and compassion for yourself first and then for others. And I know that my guest today, Kerri Hummingbird, also lives from her heart with love, kindness, and compassion. And she wishes that for the rest of the world. Kerri is a soul guide, a philanthropist, an activist, an author of three books, I believe one of which is a bestseller and another is an award winner. She is an amazing woman, and I'm delighted to bring her onto the show with me today. Welcome, Kerri.
Hi, welcome. So glad to be here.
Yeah, we are delighted to have you here. I just want to, first of all, for those who might be watching live, just say hello and let us know that you're here so that we can converse with you. And if you're too shy to post, that's okay. Kerri and I have lots to talk about, but wanted to let you know that if you're watching live, you are invited to type your comments in the chat box and we can see them and reply to you. So, Kerri, where do we start? Let's start by saying that you were very recently in Peru on a very special journey, and I'm sure you'd be loving to talk about that. Whoops, we just lost your microphone. What
Oh,
happened?
sorry. I must. I would love to. Yes. I put because my kids are in the house and homeschooling and everything, so there's a little bit of background noise. I was like, oh. um. Yeah, I just went to Peru, to the Sacred Valley, and stayed with Daniel Gutierrez at his beautiful resort called Catalina, and we had a week in basically the first into Peru, the first United States tourists in the Sacred Valley on a retreat, as far as I know. And we got to go to Machu Picchu on November 13th with like zero crowds. Like it was incredible to be there. Not only just without a whole lot of people there while we were there, which is just such a treat because usually there's throngs and throngs of people, but actually like to be in that sacred space after it has been replenished and restored back to its grace for 8 months. That's like, wow. It just, who gets to do that? So I just feel so privileged that we got to be there and experience that. That's the third time I've gone to Machu Picchu, and by far like the most profound. So
Wow. I
really
can
beautiful.
only imagine what the energy was like there, like you say, after 8 months of the land being replenished.
Yeah, because normally there's thousands of tourists every single day that go to Machu Picchu. It's one of the six wonders of the world. So that takes a toll on the land, as you know, like with all the people coming, that land and that frequency has to mulch all that energy that, whatever people are going through. And, since a lot of people on the planet are still learning how to be conscious with their thoughts and their language and their energy, that's a lot for the land to process, all those people from all around the world. So, it was so beautiful to experience the land in its freshness. Like, I got a nap. Thank you, humanity. Thank you for letting me rest for just a moment before you came back to receive my beautiful vibrations. I needed that rest. So it was beautiful.
Oh, wow. I just have chills all over just thinking about what that must have been like. Oh my goodness. And next week, my guest will be coming back from Peru as well, also at Daniel's Retreat Center. So this is going to be really exciting. I get a double dose of
Are you
recent.
having Daniel Alexa on?
I
Oh,
am.
how awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a fantastic human. So that
Yeah.
would be a good conversation. He'll just be fresh back from, I've been back a couple weeks. I don't know, I guess a month. Yeah, I guess so. About a month.
Goes
Or
quickly, doesn't
so.
it?
I know. I'm like, really? Has it been that long? I'm like looking, no, maybe 3 weeks, but still, like, it takes the shine off, because we're coming back into, a space where people are less conscious about their thoughts and their emotions and their energy. And so it just, the land has a harder time coping with that. Um, anyway, so
Yeah.
in Peru, there's a lot of people that understand this. They live high up in the mountains. They're called the Caro people, and they understand how to be with Mother Nature in a reciprocal way. And
Mm.
so the land responds to that. And so that's why when people go to Peru, they're like, "Oh, I love the way it feels here." Well, that's because there's people that understand how to be reciprocal with the land, and they create that beauty with the conscious connection they have. And then you come back to the United States, it's like, well, okay, we're back again to, you know, suburbia and okay. I've got my own little grid, my own little crystal grid around my property. My husband Akeem and I maintain our crystal grid and our sacred space here at the property and that we live on. It's just a small house, but you can create it right in your own space. If you're listening to this and you're like, how do I create a conscious connection with my piece of land to make it magical? Well, you create a crystal grid and you, you know, it's one of the things I teach my students, and you connect with the land and you pray every day and you give offerings and you say, thank you, Mother Earth. You say thank you to the ancestors of that land. And you say thank you to the all of the elementals and things that live on that land. You just make relationship with it and you honor it. You say, I know you're here and I feel you and I want to be in service. What can I do? And you sit and meditate and listen, what can I do to be in service to this land? And that's you start that relationship. You create a little piece of magic right on your piece of suburbia.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That is so powerful. I know Sharon Karn, the creator of Sound Wellness, and I have had many conversations around this. And yes, everyone can do this. And I always encourage the women in my nurture circles and any of the events that I'm hosting. It's like we begin by connecting with the land. Just feel your feet on the earth. Send appreciation to Mother Earth. Oh my goodness. How often do you think about the fact she gives us every single thing we
Everything.
need, right? Everything, our food, our water, the materials to build our houses, everything we need comes from the earth. Let's show that appreciation and gratitude and honor, as you said. Two big words there that you had, gratitude and honoring.
Yeah, and it makes a big difference. So I practice the art of ceremony every day in the indigenous way. I go outside. I just did it. I go outside with tobacco and I put prayers into the tobacco. And then I call in the four directions and I say, thank you for being with me all day long and helping me to stay a sane human. I appreciate your help. I call in the ancestors. I call in the medicine lineage that I work with, the Carol, medicine people, the Pacos. I call in all of those medicine people beyond the veil, and I start, working with the ascended masters, whatever you want to call in, and you just like say, I'm present, I'm available for today to be guided. I don't need to do it myself, like figure it all out. I'm willing to be guided in the magic and the mystery and the synchronicity and the unfolding. I'm willing to be a co-creator with Mother Earth and all that entails. And it just that I leave an offering, of the tobacco on the earth. And so it's just that's what I've been doing for the, I don't know, the last 9 years. And
Wow.
it has opened up a beautiful, people come to our house and they're like, it feels so good in here. I'm like, yeah, it does, because it's alive. It's alive again. It's not just a house with a green yard trimmed perfectly. No, who cares about that? We're all focused on things that don't matter really.
Yeah, yeah, many people are. And thank goodness many more people
Yeah.
are waking up to live more consciously with that appreciation, with that sense, that knowing that we are all one. We are one with Mother Earth. We are one with each other. We are one with the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom. We really are all one. And if you don't know what that means, listeners, then talk to somebody like Kerri, who's a soul guide, or myself as a spiritual healer. We can help you wake up to this idea that we really are all one energy. Anything I do to myself, I do to you. Anything I do to you, I do to myself.
Yeah, it's about awakening to the bigger picture, I guess, of who you are, which, when I first started taking that journey of inquiry, it got to one space where it got uncomfortable. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm part of all that is? Wait, I don't know if I like that. Like my personality ego is like, what does that mean? Does that mean I actually had this intense fear of disappearing altogether.
Ah, you're probably not the only one to ever feel that.
Because I get a lot of downloads, and the download when I was going through this part of my journey, the download was um, that the whole universe is like if you filled up a bowl with water, the universe is inside that bowl, right? It's like that's the bowl. But then if you want to know what a person is, well, you just take a plastic baggie and like fill up some of the water and then seal it and then put it back in the bowl. Like, so it's had a membrane. It's got a membrane and it's there, but it's like it's still just the same water. It's just that now it's inside a membrane. And yeah, it can have its own experiences inside that membrane called the lifetime. But then eventually the membrane wears out and it busts, it just dissolves, right? Because this vessel that we're in, this body, is not here to last. So that dissolves. Well, so what happens to the water? It goes back into the hole. It just. So
What a beautiful analogy. Oh, I love it.
when I realized that, I was a little freaked out, Tina, because I was like, well, what happens to my water inside my bag? Because I want my water to stay my water. I don't want my water to go out into everybody's water. I want my water to be my water, like, what are you talking about? So I had to realize, oh, you mean like we're all the same and we're just the same being, but we're just different expressions of the same thing? Oh, that's weird. So that also though is liberating because you know so like we all have a soul, but what is that soul? It's a fractal of the whole soul. So we are all it's a very accurate analogy. It's just that it's uncomfortable when you're in your egoic self. It's like, oh, I don't like that. I want my stuff to stay my stuff because we're trained to keep our stuff. But we're heading into this new age, right, Tina, where
Oh, yeah.
we have much more awareness of that we're just like the water that's in us is the water that's in everything. It's the same thing.
And what a beautiful world it will be when a greater percentage of people have awakened to that. Because then there is love and kindness in the world. And really, that leads to peace in the world. When I recognize that you, despite the fact that you over there have different habits and different culture and different way of looking at things and doing things, but we are actually still made from that same one energy. Oh, I might treat you with a little more respect and honoring, right? So when everyone wakes up, oh, I can't wait for the day.
I think it's going to be fun because, um, the conversation we've been having on the planet for a while now is there's one right way. And it's my way, by the way, in case you wondered. But then everybody's saying the same thing. So, like, basically, we're going to move into a different conversation. And this is part of the message that came out of my last book, The Second Wave, which is got the rainbow eye.
Oh, yeah. That's so beautiful. I love that cover.
This is White Eagle's book, and I channeled it through my personal experience. But White Eagle's an ascended master. For those of you who are like, who is White Eagle? White Eagle's an ascended master who's been around for a while. He's kind of in the background, not really too like out there. But few people encounter White Eagle and go, "Oh, that's a really good teacher." So he's chosen me to be a messenger of his message. So, but he was telling me in the last book, because I asked, I said, well, you want me to go out and talk about this, like that you're talking about right now, Tina, that we're all one. We're all part of the same essence. We're in the oneness, and there's no right way, and everybody's right. And how do I say that in a concise way? Because people aren't going to get this. Like, we've been really conditioned to think that, my way is the right way and you're not seeing things the way I'm seeing those. So there's something really wrong over there with you. We're trained that way. And he said, okay, Kerri, look at your thumb. Okay. But he said, you have a unique thumbprint, right? I said, yeah. He said, so does everybody, right? I said, yeah. He said, that's the key. It put right on your body so you wouldn't forget it, but you people still forget it. He said,
Mm.
so your unique thumbprint is like a thumbprint suit. It's got all the codes for your lifetime, your unique, completely divine, unique expression built into your thumbprint suit. So your little slice of essence slides into this thumbprint suit and has a completely unique life journey. Your thumbprint suit, you can't understand somebody else's because you're not in it. You'll never be in it. The only one that's in it ever is them throughout all time, space, and dimension. So because you can't possibly understand, because you're not in their thumbprint suit, you can't fit more than one in a thumbprint suit. So let it go. You're not going to get it. That's the beauty. Learn from each other. Revel in the fact that the divine can show up with such diversity. I mean, how is it that we're all able to have completely unique experiences and still all be the same thing?
It's a pretty mind-blowing concept for most people, for
Like,
sure.
how is that? It's amazing. And then the synchronicities that link us all together, it's like this amazing system of connection.
And speaking of synchronicity, have you not noticed that synchronicities are becoming more profound and more frequent?
It's part of the awakening.
Yeah, I'm talking to more and more people who are saying, "It's just so weird. What a coincidence. This happened or this happened." I said, "There's no such thing as coincidence. It's synchronicity. It's divine guidance. It's people and circumstances coming into your life at the right time to make something happen, you know?"
Which is what those of us who have been on the path for a while have known for a long time that that's happening. That's the first thing you start noticing, actually. So, for everybody out there, I'm getting this because I just read the Celestine Prophecy. I love to
Oh,
keep reading, and that book is fantastic, by the way,
yeah.
because it distills into one book. It's like a spiritual action adventure in Peru. So it's like one of my favorite. I love action, I love adventure, I love spirituality, and I love Peru. So it was like
Hmm,
a no-brainer. I'm going to definitely read that book.
that is
So
great.
it talks about, it was written a long time ago too, I think in 1984.
Yeah.
So it talks about the main insights that happen in the order they happen in. And it's very accurate because I've been through the process now and I'm like, that's so right on. That's exactly where you start. So we start with synchronicity. And as the book suggests, and the first insight, you start realizing something is happening that is conscious and intentional, that's connecting me seamlessly with everything I need at the time I need it. What is going on? That's the first insight. It's fun.
It is fun. And, for those who aren't readers who think, "Oh, well, I'll never be able to read that," certainly you're gonna get way more out of the book, but the Celestine Prophecy has been made into a movie that actually is quite well done. They capture all of those core messages very well in the film. I highly recommend, if you have not seen this or read the book, please do so. It will make so much more make sense.
It makes sense, yeah. And there's an audible of it too with Lou Diamond Phillips as the narrator. So that's how we enjoyed it. So it's very good. Then you can do it
Ah,
while jogging.
yeah,
And then
audiobooks are awesome.
you might even have a synchronicity while you're listening to the book and then jogging, then you'll see some message. You're like, ah, that was in the book just now. You know. Anyway, just saying it could be like that.
It could
Wouldn't that be
be.
cool?
Yeah, it could be. Oh, that's fabulous. I love it. I love it. I love it. So as a soul guide, what do you see? What do you see yourself? What are you here to do?
Well, I'm here to entertain people while they wake up. Pretty much. I'm here.
I love
I'm
that.
just here to spin some yarns and, help people get out of their stories. Because, the fact is we're storytellers. We all are. Humanity, we're just built that way. We're automatically telling a story about everything. And up until now, some of the stories we've told, well, they've been a little depressing. So collectively, we told some depressing stories. I remember like about 6 years ago, I was walking on the trail. There's a trail by my house, and I was out there walking and getting some exercise, and I was having a conversation with God, and I was like, God, I don't know what you want me to do, but I know I have a big purpose. So what is it? And I actually was hearing a response. It wasn't the voice. The voice, if anybody's had the voice, that's a little bit like shocking to me. It's only happened once, and that was enough. I like don't do that again. So I like it better if you just send me like just gentle messages, because I don't like a voice in my head. That's scary. But so this was a general conversation, and I heard the message. Well, Kerri, all I ask is no more tragedies and dramas, because I've had so many of those. And I'm really tired of hearing tragedies and dramas. Like, can we just any other genre? You're free. You are free to create any other drama, but just not tragedies and not horror stories. Because I've just that's enough of that. I've had enough. Romantic comedy is a good one. Like I was just having this conversation, and I thought, okay. And he said, "Well, surprise me." At this point, I'm like, "Surprise you, really?" I'm going to surprise the creator. That's a good one. Thanks for sharing. Like I was like, how am I going to surprise you? I have no idea how I'm going to do that. What are you talking about? But, in a way, like, I think I'm the one living in wonder now. Because when you pass that threshold into into the wonder door, I guess, you realize the synchronicities and you start to see the matrix pull back. And you walk in that door like, okay, I'm going to go behind, see who's behind the curtain, because this is too cool. I want to know how this thing works. Then you start to actually engage in your personal conversation with the divine, which is amazing. It's totally amazing to do this. So, I think we have the opportunity now to learn how to tell better stories. And so that's really my function, is to just guide people in realizing, like, peer behind the door and start to see like the mechanics of this thing. And then realize that you're in the driver's seat and you could put your soul there to have a better experience. And then you can just relax and not be so stressed out. So,
Yeah, how beautiful. How
yeah.
beautiful. You're absolutely right. We are all incredible storytellers. And even though those of us who claim to be on a conscious path and be on this spiritual path and be on this journey of awakening, how many times a day do I catch myself going, she said that. Oh, I bet that means blah, 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 blah. And then go, what? Story? Why are you making up that story? You have no idea why she said what she said, Just go ask her. It's like, it's true.
We say a lot
Excuse
of
me.
things to ourselves. You know, this is just, this is us working together. The way I see it, we're all helping humanity to lift consciousness, and it's going to take every single one of us. So, like, no man gets left behind. This is one of those gigs. There's seraphim angels to make sure nobody gets left behind. Everybody comes along. And, if you don't want to come, well, that's unfortunate, because this is a super cool, fun thing to do. And you have free will. So you don't have to come to the party, but we really invite you to come, And we're going to help each other, like I continue to have mentors. And I think we all need community and we all need mentors, because we need a space to practice this new way of conversing with ourselves and with each other, so that we learn how to do it more seamlessly, and to give ourselves grace as we're practicing this thing. Like, it might not look awesome at first. It might, it might have some rough edges. I remember my teacher, I studied with Heather Ashamara, one of my first teachers. She's the founder of Warrior Goddess training, if anybody's heard of that. And one of the things she said to me, I remember, to the whole group early on, was when women start speaking their truth, it's not very elegant at first.
Mm. Oh, true.
And I think that's true for all of us. When we start really speaking our truth, it's not very elegant at first. There's a lot of pent up stuff underneath that needs to be expressed. And it's not bad that we go through that phase. It's okay that we go through that phase because we've got to bust the dam loose within ourselves that's been just all stuck. Once we have it out there, we can work with it. And now we can learn self-compassion instead of judgment. That's like the first step, right?
Yeah.
Because you go, and then you go, judge, 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 judge.
Yeah.
But that's the mechanism in action that we're all breaking free from now. So taking the risk to be authentic helps us to reveal the underlying mechanism within ourselves that's been controlling us the whole time and suppressing us.
Yeah.
And then when you do that in a conscious community, other people go, I have such grace for what you just said. They hold you in it, in a state of grace and compassion, and that helps to dismantle the pattern.
Yeah.
So that's why conscious community is really important. It's a space for us to get real and authentic and vulnerable, where we can be held and not be held accountable to the day you die and beyond into other lifetimes, because I'll never forgive that you said that. So much pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I I I don't even remember who it was. Somebody said to me, forgiveness is nothing more than letting go. Forgiveness is not an action we take. You don't forgive someone. You simply let go of holding on to whatever it is that you've been holding on to with regards to that person. We don't need to go to somebody and ask for their forgiveness. It's up to them to decide to let it go. Although the ego would sure like to hear you say those words, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean." And yet, when we have full responsibility, when we realize it's up to me to just let that go.
The stronger way to heal that, right? And I know you've experienced this, for me anyway, is we get in this, I notice in myself, I get in this defensive space.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's going to share some, especially somebody I really care about, is going to share something with me about me that my inner narcissist really doesn't like, because I know we all have one, and I definitely have had this pattern too. It's like, no, I'm perfect. Does anybody see that happen? Because I know, like I'm perfect. And like I remember just so many vulnerable conversations with my son in particular, and where there were a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of hurt feelings because I got divorced and a lot of things happened. And, he had just a lot of stories. There were a lot of stories going on in the family that were not favorable to me. And when he came to me with all of this, the inner reaction, the first impulse is to defend and say, and then project back and be, how dare they? And I definitely went through a little phase of that where it's like, oh, they're awful. And then be the poor me. And I have the pattern of the poor me. And I'm like, oh, this time I learned how through this work. And this is what we all can learn, is just cleans things up. As I said, yeah, I really screwed up. I really was learning. Wow, I hear you and how painful that was for you. And my heart goes out to you because I never wanted you to have that. And I feel that had a big impact. How can we move forward?
Wow, how powerful.
Yeah, I'm not denying him anymore. That's his experience. I realize that as a mother, it's so important to validate, this is what I heard you say, this is what you're experiencing, and I'm not going to deny that.
Mm.
And I'm going to ask you if you're open to a reflection. So when that happened in this conversation, it was very heated and very like, oh, I'm so angry because you did all these things and I've been hearing all these stories about you, and like, and I'm like, all of it's true. Yep. That's who I was to these people. Absolutely. And what you're saying about your relationship with me, that was true. I wasn't there for you the way you needed me. You're telling me what you needed and I didn't do it. And I can confirm that's true. I said, would you like a reflection? He said, okay. After the steam came out, I said, you know, who I see you as is independent, capable, smart, resourceful, a great student, amazing. And I believe all of that happened because of the challenge you endured in our relationship. What do you think? He's like, well, I did raise myself. I said, I think you did. You did a good job. Now, is that completely true? From his perspective, it is.
Mm-hmm.
From my perspective, I know what I was doing. I know my perspective. I don't need to put my perspective on him.
Yeah.
In that moment, he needs to know he's got it, that he really took care of himself and he lifted himself. He did.
How beautiful, how empowering, how amazing. How many
It was
kids have
hard work to do that. I want to say it was so hard.
no doubt.
Ugh. Nobody wants to hear those things about themselves, you know. We're all trying to be the perfect us in whatever role we're playing and we want to do it right.
Yeah.
But how are you going to do it right? Is it your first time or however many lifetimes you've had? But this configuration is the first time.
Yes.
It's always the first time.
And let's talk about the fact that doing it right, everybody has their own definition of right. It's so subjective. Like doing it right from your perspective is different from doing it right from mine or from hers. So how can we possibly do it right? By whose right? Like, oh man, you make yourself insane trying to please everybody.
Because every child, you know, I asked this question when I got pregnant. I said, where's the handbook for being a mom? Like, how do you do this thing? And everyone's like, just shrug, like, you figure it out. That's kind of like the message I kept getting. We just figure it out. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, there should be a handbook. You know, this is my young mother self. Now I'm like, oh, you figure it out. You know, because every single human is a unique thumbprint. You're a unique thumbprint. Your children are unique thumbprints. And why do we screw it up so much? Because we're all doing it for the first time. None of us has done this configuration of skill sets before. It's all new for, even if you're an old soul, you've never done this one before. And if you're a young soul, you've never done this before. So it levels the playing field. We're all having our new lesson of mastery. And I think it's an ingenious system. Like it's quite incredible when you start peering behind the veil and seeing like how it all works. It's like, wow, this is cool. So that's how we're all equal. Because in the Western model, we got this idea that there's like some kind of hierarchy.
Yeah.
You know, and then we can be all proud of ourselves if we're on the upper echelon of that, that hierarchy, And when I first put out the Second Wave book, I had this, I channeled everything I was supposed to channel. But then I had this insight. I was like, oh, some people are going to read this book and feel special because they're part of the second wave.
Oh.
Which means, kind of like you're an old soul. You came here to help to elevate the consciousness on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And that sneaky little backdoor of the ego is like, I'm special. Look at me, I'm an old soul, and look at all these sheeple out there. And you could see that happen in the collective.
Yeah.
And I saw it coming. I was like, oh, that's a trap. Because of the ingenious system, we're all first-time students.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. We are all first-time students. And what a beautiful closing thought, because, oh my gosh, we're like, ow, time is running out. And I've missed some comments. Who's been there? Adele Camel.
Oh, nice.
Adele Campbell, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Adele. She says, good morning. Yes, and she says, so much to let go. It can be ugly. When we were back talking about the letting go and the forgiveness part, it can be ugly. And as Kerri says, we're doing it the first time, so have some grace with yourself in the process.
It's all just for learning, right? We're all just here to learn and grow. So,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So, um, just to close, I would like to throw your website up on the screen if I could just get my mouse to work and go over there where I need to go. There we
See,
go.
we're all doing this for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. There it is. So
Technology.
kerrihummingbird.com. If you love Kerri's energy, if you love what she has to say, the wisdom she has to share, if you want to read her books or talk to her, you can go to her website. And what are they going to find there?
Well, they're going to find a link to the book, The Second Wave, which has been on the charts now for 72 weeks. Um, they're going to find a link to my Awakening to Me story, which is my first book of spiritual awakening, and then access to some cool stuff, some programs and opportunities to go deeper and to explore, be part of conscious community, and learn and grow and figure out your thumbprint suit. Like, what is this thing, and how do I open that magical door she's talking about? I want to get in there. I want to see like behind the scenes. And I have a free gift. I have a free gift up there too. You can download. It's called the Love Mastery Game, and that's available at kerrihummingbird.com/play, because I like to play. And the only thing you have to do is download, print out the sheets, and then go get yourself a 12-sided dice if you want to really roll the dice, because I think life is like rolling the dice. And that's the way you roll the dice and play the game. And
Fun.
it's an oracle. So you just figure out, like, why is this thing happening for me from a soul curriculum point of view? And what it tells you is, what's the lesson you're working on? What are you working on in a state of being? And what are you learning in terms of a mastery principle about love? What are you learning? And then what allies are here to help you? Like tobacco is one of my favorite allies. So, like, what ally is helping you? So it's a cool game to play. It's an earth spirituality game. It's super fun. And I love your trees in the background. So I just see you in the woods, like, yes, I love the woods and I love trees and I love nature. And so anybody who loves nature will really like this game because it brings it alive.
Beautiful. It sounds so much fun. I'm going to go check it out for sure myself.
It's
Ah,
fun.
yeah. And I just want to flash on the screen for everyone here that might be watching, and I'll read for those who might be listening to the audio broadcast later, that I also do work to help you shift your pain and suffering into relief and joy. My Heartway sessions are a combination of energy work, guided messages, sound wellness. We use Tibetan singing bowl, beautiful chimes, all sorts of ways to help you feel relaxed and clear, to get peaceful and calm. And almost everyone says they feel lighter after a session with me. And as a thank you, excuse me, as a thank you for being a listener or a viewer to the Living from the Heart show, when you go to bestyoucanbe.ca/booktina and enter the code HEART with a capital H, you'll save $20 on your session. So that's my little gift to you. And I also want to remind everyone that this video recording, as well as the previous 52 recordings, will be on the YouTube channel Best You Can Be. That's BEST, the letter U, CAN, the letter B. And the audio podcasts are on podcast.bestyoucanbe.ca. And we just invite you to enjoy all of these amazing conversations. And I'm just going to bring Kerri back for one last final word. What would you like to share with our listeners and viewers today?
Yeah, I would love to share that my new book is on the way out. It's going to be published in January, and I have a summit that's going along with it. The summit is called The Return of Mother Wisdom. And I'm interviewing 16 wise women, thought leaders, including our own Anita Sanchez from the Evolutionary Business Council and Karen McGregor and a few others, to share their thoughts about how do we mend the sacred hoop of the world, of humanity, of the earth, of the plants, of everything. How do we do that? And the other thing is, my book is called Love is Fierce, Healing the Mother Wound. And it's really about healing our lineage, our matriarchal lineage, the feminine energy that runs through us, and our connection with Mother Earth. So I welcome everybody. That's all acceptable from my website. It's really meaningful work for me personally, and I'm delighted to bring it out in the world. Thank you for letting me share.
Well, and we're delighted that you have been called to share in this way. Thank you so much for being on the show, sharing your wisdom today, Kerri. I look forward to our next conversation. And in the meantime, I'll say ciao for now. Join us next week with another beautiful soul who lives from the heart. Till next week, ciao for now.